Alright, welcome to the Middle Aged Metalhead. It's been a while. Feels like it's been a really long while. I think more than a month since my last update. But here I am again. And today I thought I'd talk about three albums that have been reissued this year in 2022. And three albums that I've been looking forward to for a while to get my hands on vinyl. A couple of these I have on CD anyway, but yeah, this was really cool to get them. One I'd only heard online, and quite recently as well. In fact, I only discovered this band last year, but those songs have just been stuck in my head, and when this reissue was announced, I had to get it. So let's get started. Yeah. First up, from Japan, this is Far Out, a Japanese psychedelic rock band. This is their one and only album. I think it's called Nihonjin, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and released on Everland Psych, who are, I think they're from, the label is from Austria. But this is essentially a recreation of the Japanese first pressing, so you can see the OBI strip here. But if you look at the back, you can see all of the Everland Psych releases getting a mention. And what this does is basically, it's not particularly complex. The same band members, or at least most of them, would also have another band called the Far East Family Band, which had a very young guitar in its ranks who go on to achieve quite a bit of popularity in the 80s. But and that band is a little more fleshed out and a little more complex, if you will, or ambitious in their songwriting. Uh, Far Out by themselves are more of a jam band, but there is something about these two songs, and it's only two songs, one on side A, one on side B, and clocks in at about 35 minutes in all. Plain white vinyl, looking very nice, and also comes with an insert that again pretty much recreates the first pressing from what I've seen. But yeah, like I said, there is something about these two songs. There's some sort of magic to them that is just really good. Starts off very mellow, and when that guitar kicks in, I mean, that guitar tone is just so warm and inviting, and it kind of wraps itself around you and around the entire room that you're sitting in. And it sounds so good. And yeah, let me not wax too lyrical about this. There will be descriptions to the music and links in the description, so check it out if you haven't. This is Far Out with their, I think, soul album called Nihonjin, released on Everland Psych last month in March. Check this out. For the next two albums that I'm going to show, I've been thinking about nostalgia and how it works. And oftentimes, what happens is something might be a really cool memory in your head, but if you ever try to recreate it or relive it, it doesn't really live up to it. Happens to me a lot with music from the 90s, you know. I'd say all of Pantera pretty much. Used to love the band growing up, particularly in high school and junior college. It was one of my favorite bands, but as I've grown older and older, it's become sort of just meh. A lot of 90s Megadeth is pretty much the same story. Pretty much everything after Rust in Peace is just boring now. And I used to absolutely love Countdown to Extinction and even Euthanasia when they first came out. I mean, I remember being absolutely thrilled with Euthanasia when it came out. I think when I was in the 10th grade, probably. Yeah, I know I'm dating myself here. But two albums that I got this month, really, just like last week and one a couple of days ago. Also from the 90s, also a very strong part of my growing up. And happy to say they still sound fantastic. So first up, Masters of Reality with their second album, Sunrise on Sufferbus. This was originally released back in 1992. I think around about 94, maybe 95 is when I first heard them. There used to be a music store, an almost extinct breed now here, but there used to be an actual physical store pretty close to my house called Sound Options, and the guy there used to he used to record CDs onto cassette, onto blank tapes, and for a charge. So it would essentially be bootlegging or whatever you want to call it now. But back then it was a very, very valuable service, right? No internet, none of that shit. And yeah, this is one of those albums that I still don't know why I got this recorded, because I know I did hear more of it than the very first song, which he would play as a sort of preview. But I guess I liked what I heard, and I got that CD recorded onto a cassette and played the hell out of it. Right, Masters of Reality. Didn't really know anything else about this band till the internet happened, probably about 6, 7 years later, early 2000s. Looked up the band, found out that it was led by this guy called Chris Goss, who was sort of like a desert rock godfather. Produced the Kai's albums, and this album also had Ginger Baker on drums, right? The legendary Ginger Baker from Cream. And what we have here is a rock album that's almost impossible to categorize. There are bits of hard rock, there are bits of psychedelia, there's some later era Beatles kinds of sounds, there's Ginger Baker providing an absolute masterclass on the drums through all of these songs. There's some incredible melodies, there are some superb grooves, and yeah, I know I'm giving you a whole lot of adjectives that may not really mean a lot, but this album is fantastic. Not particularly heavy, not even close to metal, but just a really, really good album, right? And I think she got me when she got her dress on. The very first song used to get some airplay on MTV back then, at least for a little while. And by some I mean a little. And it also has another song called TUSA, which is on side B, which is basically Ginger Baker doing a spoken word thing about how difficult it is to get a cup of good tea in the States. It's hilarious, but it's also very, very cool. I mean, Ginger Baker may have been a madman, but damn, he was cool. And this album is pretty much the definition of cool. Yeah, it's out on what is it out on? Real Gone Music, who've done quite a few interesting reissues over the last couple of years. Probably longer, but that's when I became aware of them. And it is on very nice clear vinyl, lovely, lovely sound, very clean. And Baker's drums sound really good, band sounds great. And the only complaint I have, as I do with pretty much everything that Real Gone have put out so far that I own, is the inner sleeve. For whatever reason, I don't know what paper this is, but it causes a whole lot of static buildup, right? And just getting the record out of the sleeve is a pain. Like the record is stuck to the sleeve for whatever reason. Thankfully, you need to give it a good brushing down, get rid of all the static before you play it, but once that's done, it sounds terrific. So yeah, Masters of Reality. Sunrise on the Sufferbus, an album that's really, really worth your time. Check this one out. Next up, another band from the late 90s. Right, this is when I was just about getting into stoner rock, sludge, post-metal, I guess, with Neurosis, although I didn't really know it was called post-metal back then. But Acid Bath, So yeah, so I guess late 90s was pretty much the time of discovery for all of these genres, if you will. And one band that absolutely blew my mind from the very first time I heard it. This is the debut album from Karma to Burn. What a fantastic album. This was another blind buy. The only reason I bought this on CD, not a tape dub this time, an actual proper CD, was because it was on Roadrunner. So I assumed it was going to be heavy, and also because of the cover, right? No point lying about that. This was like another, wow, this is cool. Wow, this is on Roadrunner. Alright, let me check this out. And damn, what an album. Like, seriously, just huge grooves, terrific songwriting, terrific guitar playing, and the band just rocked, you know. They were heavy, but very, very also, I would say, accessible. Not, again, not metal in any kind of traditional sense, but the grooves were there, it was heavy, it was sort of Sabbathy, I guess, at times, maybe sort of, but they're still one of those bands that I've never actually been able to go back and say, yeah, they sound like XYZ, because they don't. And there's nothing else out there that has ever managed to sound like this first album, or actually the next two either. For the next two albums, they would drop the vocalist and go all instrumental. This one has vocals on a few songs, which also helps in giving it a little bit more character. And overall, another fantastic album of heavy grooves, heavy guitar playing, great songwriting. So that's Karma to Burn. This was released by Heavy Psych Sounds, an Italian label. Double LP, plain black, so I'm not going to bother showing you that. But it is on 45 RPM. It's a 46-minute album, I think, spread out over two discs. And I'm not really a huge fan of double albums, mainly because it means I have to get up about 3 times to listen to the whole damn thing, and it's not a continuous experience. It's on record. But this album, man, does it sound good. It sounds fantastic. And yeah, well, this one, Masters of Reality, the nostalgia was well deserved. Both albums sound absolutely fantastic. So let me just put that out there again for one more time. I was Karma to Burn, and yeah, that's pretty much it for now. This is the middle-aged metalhead. Like, subscribe, click on that bell icon so you know I've got new videos up. Planning to be a lot more regular now, hopefully, over the next few months, and put a lot more stuff out there. And stay safe, be well, stay metal, and have a good one. Cheers.